Welcome everyone to our regular Friday night education and training session. And tonight we are focusing on technology and Toastmasters. And we have three topics that we're going to be talking about. Namrita Anchan, sorry, Namrita, will be telling us about the Toastmasters website. I'm going to be talking to you about Yoodli, which is available to each Toastmaster. It's your virtual coach, your virtual speech coach. And towards the end of the evening, we will be talking about AI and whether it's a good thing or a bad thing or just a thing. So that's going to be a panel. It's going to be a demonstration. It's going to be, quite a few things, and hopefully we can get some discussion going on that. So let's begin with our first session. Our immediate past district director, Namrita Anchan, is with us, and she's agreed to talk to us about the Toastmasters website. So Namrita, thank you very much for agreeing to talk to us about this, and I'll hand over to you.
Thank you so much, Graeme. An absolute pleasure talking about something that we have been using for such a long time, and also was something that, we got for the first time, the login, the Toastmasters International website login that we got for the first time when we became Toastmasters. So this has always been my favorite subject, even when I remember us doing district officer trainings, club officer trainings, and this was one thing that we always touched upon in every year, in fact. So I'm going to quickly share my screen and let me know, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen. Here you go.
And see.
Thank you so much. Well, Toastmasters, so I'm very sure I'm amidst very knowledgeable crowd today. So we all know we are in Toastmasters. We all know what the mission is. And trust me, the website that we're gonna look into comprises of all the history, all the knowledge, literally every single thing that Toastmasters has been doing for all those years, for all those almost 100 years. So there are few new, in fact, not few, I should say a lot of new features, but I think we are getting used to change quite often, or quite often changes that keeps happening. But few of the things, I'm not sure if everyone knows about this, but definitely the homepage was revamped. And this was, I think, announced, correct me if I'm wrong, Graeme, this was announced last year, the revamp of the TI website. So that is something new, but again, we have gotten used to it because we use it so much. Easy Speak integration. Again, I'm not sure how many people know of this, but it has been integrated. So maybe when you get a chance, have a look at that. Pathways learning experience, we all know about this because I know all of us have achieved many pathway awards so far. And resource library. This is something that we're going to talk about a lot, and we're going to look into a lot as well, because literally this is your gold mine. This is our gold mine. And if we know how to use it, literally, we have hit the gold mine there. A few things that probably you can talk to your new members, your new club members about, and how can you encourage them to use the TI website would be, you have increased access and you have a lot of tools. So talk to them about all the information that is there, the information that we're going to explore in just 1 or 2 minutes. We have got modernized learning. Now, this is something really important to explain to your new members, because there are heaps of tools out over there, educational tools. And Toastmasters is up to speed with what's happening in the world, and we are up to speed with the technology, the educational technology, and the ease of learning that Pathways provides. I mean, again, it's a controversial topic, but let's not bring it in here. But again, in terms of having it or the access that we have for it, I think that is something that is definitely on par with what we have in terms of technology and an education platform. Simplified management. Again, we're going to look into today as to how literally easy it is to just click on things and just to find things. It's literally not rocket science at all. It's just a few button clicks, and it's just few tabs that you need to be aware of. And that's pretty much it. So it's simplified management there and improved collaboration. When you start using resource library, trust me, it's going to be really easy for you to pass on information to your club members, to pass on information to your club officers. For yourself, it's literally on your phone. If you just open the browser, you can literally find information using the resource library. So this is something that you can share with your club members, and hopefully this would be easy. This is something that you can share with your club members, but I think we all know of this. We all have the TI website account, don't we? I'm assuming a yes. Let me just. If we don't, then we have our district director here, then we definitely have a problem if we don't have the TI logins. But I'm very sure everyone's already signed up, created an account, and you have already started exploring the website. Again, we're going to touch base on these three things, few of the things with regards to where you can find for pathways, resource library, yes, and you can also not only, so testimonials was one of the examples that I really wanted to bring up. This is something that we share within my home club, and we try to encourage people to share their testimonials as well. And sharing global testimonials with people kind of helps us. So this is something that you can share with your club members as well. I'm going to come back to this shortly. Let me take you to the actual TI website. So let's say you have logged in, okay? What is the first thing that you try to find? Anyone?
Free stuff in the shop.
Now that's a very district director thing. Or probably I should say just a Kevin thing. Looking at all the pins that you have on your hat, definitely you go into the shop. What is the other thing that probably a normal Toastmaster would do?
Pathways.
Pathways, yes.
Manual.
Like information about myself, like, I don't know, my member number or something.
Yes, exactly. Information. You need to know your member number when you're signing that eligibility form, when you are filling out your awards submission, your application. You need to know your member ID. Where do you find that? You find it under, very simple again, this is your key button. You need to go on this, click on my home, actually my profile for the member ID, but we can go one by one. So let's say if we go on to my home, the first thing that you get is your education and your achievements, of course. It's very strategically placed here. We are an organization about awards, education, communication, and being recognized. So education and achievements, that's the first thing that you see. I'm going to click on literally every single tile over here, and we're going to see what all things you need to go and you need to explore for your particular profile on the TI website. So let's go to the Go to Basecamp. Now this is my Basecamp. And if I click on the Mighty Documents, which is my home club, it will take me to my pathways. Yeah. And this is where I try to track all my educationals, all my pathways that I have signed up for. I'm not going to go into the depth of pathways because, again, I'm very sure Graeme and Janine would have taken you through pathways a lot over here, and also Michael. I'm going to quickly go back on the screen The next tile on your My Home screen is the Learning Hub. Again, have a look when you use your login, have a look at what all things are available here. The third tile on the education achievements is your achievement board. This is something that I'm very sure all the Toastmasters will frequently visit. And when you go over here, all your educational awards will be listed over here. You see? One thing that you can do if you like to take note of things is you can always just export the Excel of all the awards just to keep track again. You can print it if you like. The other is the officers held. So all those years that you have stepped up being a club officer or a district officer, everything will be listed over here. Individual sponsorship history. Now, for me, this looks very sad because there is nothing over here, but I'm very sure a lot of us will be having a lot of individual sponsorship history listed over here. Your club support history. So this is for your club mentorship, your club sponsorship. I think even the youth leadership, what is the other one? Help me out over here, please. But all those things also get listed over here because it's a type of club support.
Speechcraft.
Speechcraft. Thank you so much, David. And here we have the additional roles and achievements. So anything additional that you get outside, not outside, but outside your traditional TI educational structure is what gets listed out over here. I'm going to go back to our first, which was nothing but the My Home page over here. And I'm going to scroll down. Now here, depending on you being a club officer or you being a district officer, you're going to get different tiles over here. So if let's say you are a club officer, which is usually the case, when you click on Club Central, this is where all your club management sections would be available for you to use. For example, the main one would be definitely submission of education awards for your club members, your membership management. I'm not going to open it because there is sensitive club information over here. Your club management, a lot of things over here that you can keep track of, such as club contact and meeting information, club officer assignment, club success plan, club demographics, addendum of standard club options, club events, club financials, club achievements. And this is where your club distinguished performance report also comes up. There is another way to go into the performance reports, but this is one more way where you can get into the distinguished performance reports for your specific club. Other reports are also available in this section here. I'm going to quickly click on this. And this is where your dashboard appears. So just a very quick question to this forum over here. How many of you usually use this or probably have a look at it at least once a week? Except for the PQD and the DD. Come on.
I look at it every day.
Every day?
Yeah, because I'm an area director. I want to see what's going on.
Exactly, fabulous. So again, area directors, club officers, I think this is the place where you should come, where you should track all your club member progress. And while we do that, I feel like what we don't do is we don't share this with our club members. So I think taking a screenshot of this, sharing these statistics with your club members will actually create an impact or will actually encourage progress within your club. So try doing that. And I'm going to quickly go back on the screen and let me know if I'm going too quick, but so far I think I'm fine, right? Okay, I'm not going to go into the district central unless the district Well, let's keep that for the district officer training. The other things that you find over here are the different types of meeting tools, which is nothing but all the, for example, oops. So when I clicked on the meeting tools, these are the role information. For example, our counter. Not sure why it's not getting opened up. Oh, there you go. So this is something really useful for the new members coming in, viewing the script. People get a bit nervous usually because, you know, they don't know what to do. What's an hour counter? You know, am I supposed to say a lot many hours or probably count a lot many hours? So this is something that they can use, the grammarian, timer, meeting logs, everything. So this is where your regular meeting tools are available. Again, I think a lot of us rely on our club officers to get this information, but just a quick note to your new members that, hey, you know what, have you checked on the TI website that, you know, have you checked the our counter script that is available? Probably have a look. It's just on the home screen. Just scroll down and go to meeting tools. Yeah, and next time they can pass this information to other people, and the next time it's just easy for them to go back to it as well. The other very important thing is all the information that TI shares, either on emails, those can be found over here. So all the important announcements, the magazine, everything. So we have got the leader letter, we have the club news, district news, all of these gets featured over here, and you can always just keep an eye on this. And this again, which we also saw in the Club Central bottom section. This is the same thing, the Distinguished Performance Reports. But I'm not sure if everyone can see this, because I'm still the IPDD. I think I have this view. Does anyone from this crowd know that if a member who's not a district officer can see this?
They can.
They can?
Yep.
Excellent. So there you go. This is another very useful tool for you to understand that globally, you know, how are the members trending, what's happening with pathways, how many people are doing innovative planning pathways, those kind of things, just understanding the trend. And if you're really interested in knowing those things, there you go. You have literally got access to the whole stats across the globe. And where do you find it? You find it in the Distinguished Performance Report. Again, we are still on page, let's call it page 1, and that's your My Home page. Yoodli, this is what Graeme is going to talk about, so I'm going to leave it to him. And this is nothing but how to renew. So if our new members are struggling as to how to renew, and you as a club officer, or let's say just a member of the club wants to help, this is what you use. You use to build your knowledge and then speak to them. The other thing is your My Profile. So something that will be used a lot by every single member. Here, when you come over here, the tiles are, there you go, perfect. So, okay, you can see my address, there you go. Now you know where I live. But this is when I joined Toastmasters. So, and this is your member number, which will be very handy always. Thank God my password's not visible. Okay. I'm not going to click on this, but maybe if we have some time at the end, I would really want everyone to very quickly log on to your TI, and you can start doing it even now, and go to this page. Go to this page and find the information if you haven't so far. Okay. The other thing, and the very important thing that I wanted to touch base on before we even go on to questions, is the resource library. Your resource library literally has every single document that all of us, all the district members or all the club officers literally keep sending you every time. So if you are looking for the area director, let's say what an area director does, or where is the district leadership handbook, where is the club leadership handbook, all you need to do is, in fact, you don't even have to go over here. You can literally type on this search button up on the top right of the screen. But for now, I'm going to just type it over here because we are on the resource library screen. And just type club leadership handbook. Or if you, let's say, if you are new to Toastmaster and if you don't know, you just know the keywords, just type club leadership. It's going to give you the club leadership handbook here. And you have got it in different languages that are available out over there. And you can share, you don't even have to download things. You can just share this link with the member and they should be able to access this document. And it goes for everything. So can someone from the audience very quickly give me a keyword or a document that they really, really are looking for with regards to Toastmasters, of course?
Fonts.
What's that?
Fonts. Fonts for out of the style manual.
Fonts. Yeah.
Fonts.
Yes, fonts.
Fonts. Okay.
Yeah.
There you go. That should. That was a tricky one. That is a tricky one. How about, so let's say it should show up, but it's not. It's not.
Contest rules.
Thank you. There you go. You have your 2023-2024 speech contest rulebook available over here. The one thing that a lot of our VPPRs of the club try to find is the brand manual. In fact, you don't even have to come over here for the brand manual. Half of the things, if you just type it in Google, it'll literally give you this link.
Yeah.
Yeah. So there you go, your brand manual. The other thing that I think we have touched base on the resources, membership. This is something that is very helpful for all the VPMs, but again, for yourself as well. There are heaps of questions that always keeps coming up with regards to how you're going to transfer a new member, what are the club meeting roles, how I'm supposed to be in my first meeting, a lot of things. And this is another very important space that you can direct your new club members to. And even you can actually explore literally every single part of this, because again, we're Toastmasters, we like to, there is just so much out over there to explore. And there is so much available in this one little website over here. So as very rightly said, and this was the title that was provided to me by Graeme, which I absolutely agreed on. It's a gold mine. It's literally a place where you can find every single information with regards to Toastmasters International. Don't forget another one, since I'm on red, the Find a Club. I'm very sure we all know about this. There is not much added over here, like in terms of new feature, or probably it's not no more a new feature because we all know about it. But you can see that it shows the online attendance accepted. So online clubs, prospective, all these different types of clubs. And you can always just direct your new members or even guests to put the club, to put the location, geographic location, and find clubs nearby. So this is something that is accessible not only to members, but to anyone.
The one new thing, sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
Namrita, the one new thing they've added to that is, I'm not sure how clubs put in their club events, but they can nominate that they're having what they call an open house or whatever it is, and that will show up on the Find a Club website as well.
This one, you mean?
Club events, yeah, that's right.
Yeah, yeah. let's see what comes up. Oh, there you go. South Suburban Toastmasters. It's all showing
Now,
for
it
you.
has a little star next to it. If see the club events thing, that
Mhm.
yeah, it'll have a star next to the thing. I had a look earlier, and there aren't that many. So
Yeah.
yeah, don't worry
Look
about it. Janine has a question.
I'm just commenting, Namrita, there's a question in chat from Jason. He said, who would be uploading speech contest awards to additional roles and achievements? Is it meant to be used for that purpose? And is that something a member should do themselves?
The speech contest.
We'd pass that. I just wanted to check whether they were already in there, and I thought I'd wait to the end.
Say, all good with that then?
Yes.
Cool.
I could wait to the end. Yeah.
Okay. Well, there is heaps, and there is no way we can cover it in 15 to 20 minutes. But these are the ones that you would really want to keep using it every single day, and also encourage your members, your other fellow Toastmasters to use it, because the more we use it, the less of a lost Toastmasters will be, because I have seen even people who have been in Toastmasters for years but still looking for documents, which are literally sitting over here on a search button on the screen. So it is an easy, accessible tool available for us. I think it's just about knowing that things are available here and just using them. So, well, I hope this was helpful. And I'm going to open it to questions if there's any time, but if no, then I'm going to pass it on to Graeme and Janine.
Got 2 minutes, so probably one question we can field.
Yeah.
I just jump in there and say a lot of those resources change year by year. So if you have copies saved on your hard drive for judging forms, for example, speech ballots, you shouldn't rely on your own old stock. You should go to resources on the TI site to get the latest and most correct.
Really good pickup. Yeah.
Yep.
Even the membership form changes. So I know a lot of people have got that saved somewhere on their club drive or whatever, and it changes. Yeah.
That's
Can I just chime in on the membership form?
Yep.
Sure, go.
I think the membership form's a bit of a contentious subject because it's very US centric.
Yeah.
Very true.
For District 73, there's a special version.
That is right.
That's on the District 73 site, though, not on this site.
Yep.
Exactly, yes. But how would you know to go there? Why would you not use the one on the main website?
Good question.
Well, yeah, that's right. It's education, isn't it?
It is, absolutely, yeah.
One would hope, because your vice president of membership would give them the current version which is applicable. Because no one would be joining unless they've actually been to your meeting, and they would have had some level of induction into what the meeting is and what becoming a member entails, and invariably should be given the information rather than them trying to seek it and pick the wrong form.
Yeah.
What I can say about that is there's some so-called senior members who dig up the wrong form, and the new person would have no idea.
Hence why it should go through the VPN.
Yeah, because they've dug it out of their own little, just as described, their own little personal web page.
Oh, but you can't be making generalizations. That happens, but it happens in all organizations. But really, if you go, as somebody said earlier, if you go back to the source, which is this, everything will be up to date.
Yeah.
Right.
So there is one question from Jeff. How do you generate a preferred reading list for new members? In this fast-paced world of vast information. It's almost impossible to keep up to it. So what I personally do is I refer people to this. That is the leader letter, if they're really interested in knowing about Toastmasters International. And I think this is something that keeps us up to date with everything that's happening with the new technology that's coming in, which is, for example, the Yoodli and the AI and all those things. Then plus, there are also some very basic traditional TI information available in here as to how you're supposed to conduct a club meeting, a regular club meeting. What are the basic documents that are available out over there that we can use, the updated versions of it. So I think this is something, this page over here, again, we went through it, it's there in my home, and if you scroll down, there's something called as leader letter, and there are other tabs over here available with some featured articles as well. So that is something that I would give new members as a.
Can you just roll that screen down to that next graphic? Next one. There you go, separating club facts from fiction, which is what we're talking about.
It's a good read.
Yeah, it is.
There you go. Well, do we have any more time for questions?
No, you don't.
No? Okay, so there you go. That's a wrap then. I hope everyone, this was useful. In a very small way, I'm sure, but definitely recommend everyone to use the TI website.
Excellent.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Namrita, for that insightful look at the Toastmasters website. It is a great place to look. I'll also say that Google is your friend. If you can't happen to if it happens that you can't find something on the TI website, often you'll be able to find it through Google. But definitely check out the TI website. All right, now we're going to move on to our second presentation, which is by me. And I'm going to be talking to you about Yoodli, which is a tool which has been available for Toastmasters for, I don't know, about a year or more. It was introduced by the immediate past president, yes, Matt Kinsey, thank you, that's right, the international president. Now, who's actually looked at Yoodli? Who here has seen Yoodli and done anything with it? So David has, Janine has, anybody else? Brett has. I have, which is probably reassuring since I'm talking about it. Doesn't make me an expert, but anyway. So Yoodli is, it's designed to be a virtual speech coach. So basically, you give it a speech and it will give you some feedback on your speech. Some of it's useful, some of it's not. It's not meant to be a replacement for feedback from your club members and from other Toastmasters. It's just another way that you can get feedback on certain things. Now, I think the easiest way to talk about Yoodli is to show you. So what I'm going to do is log in to my TI website. So first of all, log in. That will give me the right information there. Log in. Ta-da. Get rid of these annoying reminders. Now, if you go to my home, which should be the first page that you see when you log in, you scroll down a bit and you see the Yoodli button or tile just down here. Namrita did refer to this. Thanks, Namrita, in the previous presentation. Click on Yoodli, and then you are auto-magically taken through to Yoodli. Now, I think as far as Toastmasters is concerned, you do have to go through this way, or at least bookmark this this thing to get into it, because your credentials, your login details, username and password are through the Toastmasters website. So if you go into just Yoodli by itself, it might get confused. Now, when you go to the home page, you'll see a presentation from Matt Kinsey. It's worth having a look at that. and recording your first speech, practicing your table topics. But this is one thing that has been added, I think, specifically for Toastmasters, is that you can practice a presentation, a speech, or a table topic. So would someone like to do a table topic right now? Come on, that's what table topics are all about. I'm going to pick on someone if nobody says. I might pick on Stefan. Stefan, you'd be happy to do a table topic, wouldn't you?
What? Sorry?
I'm asking if you would be happy to do a table topic right now to Yoodli.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, good. So if I click on over here, practice, if I click on table topics, allow, that's fine. Now we've got the camera off, and it's even given us a table topic that we can use. What would you like to improve about yourself? Now, if you don't like that question, you can click on the refresh, the little round arrows. Here's a good one. Who's your celebrity inspiration and why? So, Stefan, would you like to do a table topic right now? I'll click on Start Practice. It'll give you a countdown.
Yep.
And then if you can tell us who is your celebrity inspiration and why.
Did you start now?
Start now.
Okay, my celebrity inspiration is Jamie Oliver, because he's a really good chef, and I always wanted to be able to cook like Jamie Oliver, and he makes some really nice dishes, and to one day be on TV, and to be able to present things like him, and to cook really nice dishes, and to maybe one day open my own restaurant. I thought that would be really good. And do I keep talking? Or
yeah,
and maybe one day I have my own cookbook. I could call it Stefan's famous dishes. Maybe go to Italy and have my Italian tour. And that's why that's my celebrity and why.
Fantastic. Thank you very much. All right. Now here, I've clicked on Done Speaking, and it says you crushed it. So wow, you did a great job. Hint, it always says you crushed it. So that's all right. Now we can save the Yoodli, save what you just did, or we can get some follow-up questions that are generated by AI about what you've just said, Stefan. Will we do one follow-up question? Here's an example of, and this is, it's going to ask, Stefan, this is Yoodli asking you a question about what you've just said. So you can respond to the question it asks. So what specific qualities or skills do you most admire about Jamie Oliver as a chef?
Talk?
Yep.
Yeah. He's got a lot of charisma, and he's got a lot of really great people skills, and he's really great with the audience and makes them hungry with all the dishes that he cooks.
Okay, fantastic. One more question.
Well, I think those qualities could benefit my own culinary journey, because I'd like to be more charismatic like him, and to wow an audience with table topics, for example, and to be more out there, and maybe wear a different coloured shirt, and like a chef's hat, to really get the audience's attention.
Excellent. All right, I'll end that session. Thanks for participating, Stefan. Look, you crushed it again. How about that? So let's save this and see what Yoodli does with it. So, yeah, I know about that. Come on. Now you can see there's a couple of things here. We do have a recording of what Stefan has said, and there is actually a transcript as well of what you said. So you can see that Yoodli's gone ahead and highlighted a few perhaps filler words, so we can look all the way through. And one thing it does here with coaching is it lets you share what you've just said with other people so that you can get them to comment. So if I share and say, I don't know, me, Toastmaster Graeme at gmail.com, then that will, hello, I'd love your speech, your feedback on untitled speech. Thanks. And then share, and then that will send me an email saying, okay, would you like to have a look at Stefan's speech? And then I can come back and make comments on it. But let's have a look at the analytics, because they're quite interesting. There's a lot of things that it will tell you about how the speech went. So one thing is delivery. How well did you pace yourself? And Yoodli thinks that your pace sounded relaxed. It was about 144 words a minute. And you've got here a graph of how quickly you talked over the whole time. There's a little band here where Yoodli suggests that you want to be within that kind of word count. There were some pauses as well. Nice job giving your audience time to digest what you're saying. I mean, this is useful, but it tells you exactly how many seconds. So this one here, 6.48 seconds. That's quite a long pause. So where was that? Okay, fantastic. One more question. All right, so this is unfair because this is where you are reading the question. Okay, I'll stop that. But at least you can see here how long your pauses took and all of the times that you did pause. So that's that's delivery in the analytics. If we look at something like word choice, what non-inclusiveness is if you say things like, guys, listen, we need to do whatever. Guys is non-inclusive, okay? Because not everybody is a guy. And things like that too. If you talk about, it depends on how sensitive you want to be about these things, but even if you say things like, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, these days that can be classed as non-inclusive. So it'll pick you up on things like that. Now, repetition. There was a few times that you repeated a few words, and it's picked up all of those, which is intimidating. Some filler words, are, like, and okay. 47% excess. What does that mean? You said 47% more than you needed to. Try to get into 30% instead. Check out some rephrasing. This is pretty difficult, conciseness in a table topic. Okay, remember this is a table topic, but it will give you some helpful rephrases as well. Sentence starters was for 19% of the time. And weak words is something it will pick up on as well. So really, well, so, just, things that tend to be not as communicative as we would like to be. So that's actually pretty comprehensive. Any thoughts on that?
That's pretty great.
Verified.
I might run the next online session near the end of the year and do the table topics. Sending the evaluator the link on the right there. Yeah, exactly. So let's have a look at what else you could do here. You can see that there, like I said, there's a transcript. And one thing you've got here is this little wand, which is an AI assistant. And you can get it to do some weird things like rewrite this as a limerick. I don't know why you would want to do that, but hey, you can. Let's try to rephrase concisely. It's not perfect, but it will take this chunk of text and see if it can rephrase it a bit more concisely. . That's actually pretty good.
That's a good reformulation of that. Again, remember this is a table topic, so you're thinking on your feet, but it's just to illustrate the kind of things you can do. What else? Simplify to main points. That looks pretty similar. And let's try rewrite as a limerick. I'm sure you've always wanted your speech to be a limerick, Stefan. There once was a chef quite inspired by Jamie, his skills he admired, to cook up some dishes and fulfill his wishes and open a restaurant he aspired. That's all right.
Very good.
It's got lots of limericks, Stefan.
Yeah, very good. All right, so you can go back to the home page there. Each time that you save a Yoodli, a thing that you've got, it turns up here in your library. Now, this is the one that we just had. What I should have done probably was, oh, how many times? Put up here, untitled speech, Stefan's table topic, so that I know exactly what it is. And I can go to the library over here and Stefan's table topic. Now, I've done some of my own. And one thing that's quite useful is you can capture yourself on screen. So I'm sitting down here. It's not exactly what you would do if you're wanting to practice a speech, but here's my, and I was deliberately trying to be crap. So Australian. That's a word that gets thrown around a lot these days. You ever heard that? Australian. Don't like Vegemite? That's Australian. Beetroot on your burger? That's un-Australian. Refuse to get vaccinated? That's un-Australian. Okay, that's pretty embarrassing, but that's the idea. And you can see if you've got the share thing there, then people can go to a particular part of the video and say, look, around this area here, you're playing with your beard. This is something I do a lot. So it's actually something that would be great if people would pick me up on. There was a thing earlier on in the, oh, that's the volume, sorry. There was a thing earlier on here where if we go back here at the very beginning, I folded my arms. That could be a place that you can comment and say, mate, you don't want to be doing that. And if we look at the analytics over here, apparently, even though I was trying to do ums and ahs, I didn't have many. Damn, I've learned it too well. No non-inclusiveness, some repetition of words, which I was trying to do, quite a few weak words. So just, I guess, conciseness, not very concise at all. So now I'm sure none of you have ever been called, yeah, all right, that's all right. And sentence starter, that's. I mean, this is something that you may or may not want to take on board. That's un-Australian is something that I was saying over and over again to reinforce it. This is actually part of one of my humorous speeches, and it's better than it looks there. Well, I think it is anyway. I didn't win though, so it can't be that good. Anyway. And the delivery, eye contact. Here's something that's interesting because I don't think I did particularly well with eye contact, but apparently eye contact with the camera, 70% or 73%. And looking away. So that's something that's quite useful. Here's an interesting one, centered. How centered were you in the camera's view? Now, obviously, that's going to be useful if you're doing an online speech, less useful perhaps if you're doing an in-person speech. The pacing, 120 words a minute, and there's variation. You can see I went all over the place there. And the pauses, yeah, well, we've got lots of pauses. So that's some of the things that you can do. There's also over here games. And I tried a few of these things and it's actually pretty challenging. This one's a really interesting one, Metaphor Mania. Let's start playing that. So what we're going to do is display 2 random words, and then you have to create an analogy between them. So, you know, being a kettle is like being a car or something, I don't know. Let's have a quick go at this. All right. A bad date is like a speeding ticket because you have to pay for it later. An astronaut's like climbing a ladder because it's best when you're in a spacesuit. Going on a safari is like meeting your soulmate because you could be eaten by a lion. Coding is like eating cotton candy because it's sugary and has no value. Painting your nails is like, all right, that's enough of that. Good grief. So that's one funny thing that you can do with the games there. Spin a yarn, that's essentially a table topic, and no filler is practicing without using ums and ahs and so on. Alrighty, that's pretty much Yoodli. Any questions anyone has about Yoodli?
I have a comment.
Sure.
I think Yoodli is really, really helpful for seasoned Toastmasters, or probably Toastmasters who have been in Toastmasters for, let's say, maybe more than 2 years, or maybe even 1 year. It's something for people who really want to polish their speech and communication, and it's something fabulous to have where you can access it in your own space and pace. I think it's really helpful for a little seasoned Toastmasters. It could be, and I'm saying this because I feel that it could be a little intimidating or maybe even confusing for new Toastmasters because they haven't got that first-hand in-person evaluations. But for seasoned Toastmasters, I think it's a really good practice tool.
Excellent. Any comments? Anybody else? Questions?
Oh, sorry, go on. I'd just like to add to what Namrita said there. I agree with her. I think that the kind of thrust of Toastmasters these days is corporate, to make everyone excellent at what they do, and that's aspirational. And Yoodli is like a better version of, say, Microsoft Editor, which does some of the same things. But for beginners, I think we should just let them stay away from it for now and let them just develop through going to meetings and talking to other people and so on until they've been, you know, in Toastmasters a little while, because not everyone wants to be an accredited speaker or the best speaker on the platform. I must tell you this, so I'm bragging now. Last night I was recruited to be a TEDx coach for 5 speakers.
Wow.
Which I start. Well, I've already received one of the draft of one of the speakers for a TEDx in March next year.
That's fantastic.
Yeah, it's good.
Excellent.
But that's after 22 years in Toastmasters. You see, I've learned all the tricks now.
Okay. Like, I'll just give you a quick look at what happens when you ask for feedback. So you remember I sent myself an email from this to ask for some feedback. So here's what it says. Somebody shared a speech with you. Hello, I'd love your speech. So click on feedback and it will take you to Yoodli, to that particular thing that we opened before. And then it will let you make some comments on each of these areas. All right, cool. That was simple, quick.
I have a quick question, Graeme.
Sure.
So does the evaluator, like the person who's going to give you the feedback, clicking on that link, needs to have a Toastmasters login?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that. I can look it up and find out, but that is a very good question. Does anyone know?
I'd be surprised if not.
Actually, yeah, you're probably right, because Yoodli's a general tool. So anyway, yeah, whatever. Does anyone know what AI is running Yoodli? No, got no idea. Bard, Chat GPT. And the thing is, well, we'll get into this in a second. What people call AI is very different things. It's not just Bard or Chat GPT.
It's interesting that Camillo asked a question about his accent. And I haven't spoken to Camillo, so I'm not sure how thick the accent is. But given that Graeme and Stefan have got quite different speaking voices, and Yoodli picked up the accuracy of both speakers, and given that Yoodli is probably used mostly by Americans, I'd say it's quite intelligent at picking up the spoken language. So Camillo, if you have an accent, as long as the words you're speaking are in English, I'd say Yoodli would be very competent.
Yeah.
Can I just add to that, David? Accents are mother tongues, so you don't change your accent. I mean, that's what you're born with, okay?
Yes. Yes.
But dialect and the way and the power and volume you have in words is what Camillo needs to work on. So pausing and all those other things, yeah. So it's not easy. People don't know this, but English is my second language. Until I was 5, I only spoke Welsh. So I had to learn how to speak it in a way that people understood.
Welsh?
Yeah, I was Welsh. And I spoke Welsh until I was 5 years old. Then I went to English schools, and we weren't allowed to speak Welsh in English schools.
Uh-huh. Yes, I remember Sandy Toksvig, because she's, what is she, Swedish, Norwegian? Anyway, Sandy Toksvig, if you know who she is, she's a very well-known English beloved presenter of programs and so on.
She does QI.
QI, exactly right, yes. She learned English in an American school, and she said that when she came to England, she had an American accent, and so she had to try very, very, very hard to have an English accent so she wouldn't be made fun of. So she would imitate the TV. Yes, it's a journey that we all go on. Okay, great. Thank you. Thank you, me. Thank you, everyone, for that, for participating with that session in Yoodli. And what we're going to do now is have a bit of a discussion about AI. Now, we've just already mentioned AI because of Yoodli. Yoodli talks about itself as being AI. AI, of course, being artificial intelligence. It's much in the news these days with ChatGPT and Bard and DALL-E. If you haven't heard those terms, I'm going to show you what they do in just a moment. But what you can do actually with these things is create yourself a speech. And you have to ask yourself whether that's a good thing or a bad thing or whatever. So let's give it actually a try right now. So who would like to, let's stick with table topics. Who would like to give me a table topic?
All right, well, here's one from a contest I went to last week, and it wasn't a question, it was a statement. It was a concept, and the table topic was life before mobile phones.
Life before mobile phones. That's a good one. All right. Let's have a look at that. Now, what I'm going to do is share my screen again. And on the screen, you can see that I have Edge open, which is Microsoft's brand new U-Butte browser. And up the top here, we've got Copilot. So I'll click on the Copilot button. Copilot is Microsoft's way of branding some of their stuff with ChatGPT and DALL-E and everything. So what I can do is I'll make it more creative, and I'll say, give me a speech. No, give me a table topic speech. Table topic speech about, what was the thing again, David?
Life before mobile phones.
Life before mobile phones.
Yep.
Okay. Give me a table topic speech about life before mobile phones. Click on that, and it will think about it for a minute or two. Here we go, searching for life before mobile phones. So you can see it's actually coming up with a speech right now, which is kind of halfway creditable. It's actually pretty good. And what I'll do with this, by the way, is capture this when it's finished so that you can have a copy of that and see if you think it's any good. All right, we had to go to libraries, bookstores, videos, shows to be aired. Life before has its advantages. Some might say this is getting a bit long for a table topic, isn't it?
No, it has to be 2 minutes.
Not let them take over our lives. Okay, we have to balance online and offline activities. Thank you for listening. There we go.
Well, I wasn't judging, but I was in the audience. And if somebody had given that response, I would have scored it very highly.
It's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I've actually asked both Kevin and David to be our sort of panel here and to generate some discussion around some questions that we have. So Kevin, I think you've got some experience with AI sort of before the whole wave of AI became a real thing.
It was definitely a real thing. I used to work for a data analytics company.
Yes.
And we would do stuff that I'm not allowed to talk about. But one of those programs, you know how people suspect that your phones are listening all of the time?
Mm-hmm.
Well, we were part of a project whereby people were given free phones on the condition that this was allowed. And what the algorithms behind it were doing were listening for instances of advertising. And the idea was to try and recognize when someone heard an advert about a telecom, and it would turn around and say, it would interpret the discussion, look at the reference, and then give you information about it. We'd do algorithms that could look at players in a netball match, and it would analyze position and turn around and talk about it and give you that narrative. We had one that could interpret the number plates of cars as you go into a car park, and then highlight a strip that would take you to your favorite car parking spot. And then when you entered into the supermarket, by using the bounce off your mobile phone, because it recognized which car you came out of, would be able to analyze your shopping patterns. We invested a lot in those chatbots that everybody had. So this was 6 or 7 years ago when everybody knew it was a chatbot. But we helped develop a lot of that technology that was being done at the time. And probably one of the projects that was more noticeable, because we were a Microsoft as well as a Google partner, is we ran a contextual analysis of people's emails to be able to understand when they were going to exit the company based on their language and conversations.
Good heavens. That's pretty scary.
So it's been behind the scenes for a very, very long time. And how it's been applied is changing, absolutely, in its accessibility, but it's amazing.
Yes.
The chatbots can be terribly frustrating because firstly, you're not speaking to a person no matter what they say their name may be. So you'll give it a very specific question and you go down the path of feeling as though it understands what you're talking about. But if you're talking to a government department, for example, I don't think they've spent as much on the technology as some of the other companies, and you can get into a point of circular frustration where you think this is just not going anywhere. Now, that used to be quite common, and these days, I'm becoming more patient, but I feel as though they're becoming more competent. So I expect that there's either a learning curve to it, or it's just getting a larger language model to support it.
Mm. Now, given that these AI tools can generate speeches for us, what do you think of that? Is that like a good starting point, or is it something that we should avoid? What should Toastmasters' response be to this? Well, when I say Toastmasters, I mean an individual Toastmaster, not the organization itself.
So the immediate answer is depends. So you can turn around and you can ask ChatGPT to write you a 7-minute speech on will generative AI impact humanity or not? And it'll give you a 5 to 7 minute speech. And if all you do is read that out over a Zoom session, yeah, you've not really achieved much. But I liken the chat agents like ChatGPT to the same regime that happened in high schools when we moved from mental math to calculators. We had the option of turning around and just giving people simple maths problems, and that was the maths exam. And then we reached a point whereby we gave people calculators, and by using the calculators, we ended up with far more complex challenges, which challenged our logic and didn't require as much general mental math. Now, some people will say that's a bad thing because when electricity goes out, nobody knows how to work out what your bill is. But what it has done is it's freed up people's growth into other areas. And I believe these agents can do the same things. They can come up with a bullet point structure that you can actually start to embellish and work out, and then feed that back in to the agent and ask whether or not it was appropriate or not. What you did with Yoodli is something that you can have a circular analysis of between ChatGPT helping you frame an argument and being able to then play it back to Yoodli, and Yoodli turn around and say, oh, well, that wasn't very precise. And you could go back to ChatGPT and say, make it more precise. Or you can do that on your own, and you can have that iterative cycle, just like you would with a mentor that would be turning around and telling you exactly the same thing. So you have to decide your own authenticity part of your Toastmasters journey. But all of these agents, these generative agents, they're just tools that can be used the same way that any other tool can be to help you move forward. And if you can't do that in an authentic way, and you're on a Zoom contest and you secretly tap in the table topic and you then read out what it gives you, you achieve nothing. We can't ban the tools. You can't, what is it? You can't put the genie back in the bottle. You can't close Pandora's box. What we need to do is use it in an ethical way.
It's interesting to me, though, if you look at, say, the rules around contests, the 25% originality rule. I know of people who use Yoodli to write their speech, and they learn what Yoodli has given them, and they do it in a contest. Now, that's up to them, but as you say, it's about authenticity, and the first value of Toastmasters, integrity. So intrinsically, you get nothing from it. Outwardly, you might get a few praise comments and so on. So I'm like you, Kevin. I see it only as a tool. But interestingly, I listen to the ABC a lot, and they say, if you miss this program, you can do it again on something, or ask your smartphone to direct you. Now, that's within that world where we're now talking to machines to help us, where we used to talk to people. It's weird. Yeah.
Well, again, I'd go back to the conversation David had about these chat agents that people have on websites. In the bad old days, it was I'm here to help you, please pick your topic. And you picked your topic. And then it said, given that topic, these are the areas that I can help you with. Which one do you want help with? And you'd go through it. Now you have an open conversation with it. That could be a verbal conversation as opposed to a written conversation. The challenge is, where does the critical thinking come in? Where do you turn around and you're growing because of what you're doing or because of the information that's been given to you?
I was trying out ChatGPT one time, and I asked it to write a speech based on a speech that I had done quite well with in contests. And the suggested speech it came out with wasn't bad, but I personally don't think it was as good as the one I had written off my own bat. However, there was one little thing it suggested in there that was like a brainwave. It was absolutely inspired, and I thought, I can use that. So I inserted it into the closing part of the speech, and it really gave it a lift. So it's just a tool. And I was very happy with it, but I wouldn't have used the complete output that it suggested.
I found the Google AI pretty interesting, because you can ask it hypothetical questions, like things that aren't possible, but then you go, what if it is possible? And then it answers you. Well, like the one of the questions I used was you can voice interface with it, by the way, and you can speak to it like you're talking to a person. And I said, if time travel was possible, how could I go into the future? And it goes, according to current research, time travel is not possible. And then I said, well, what if it is? Hypothetically, if it was, how would you do it? And then it wrote a big thing on how you do it. It was quite interesting.
So again, we need to recognize ChatGPT and all these other agents. They're just as capable of giving you misinformation as they are of giving you the real information. This is no different to picking up a newspaper and seeing someone write an article. Do you trust the person who wrote the article? The difference here is we have no way of understanding how the corpus of knowledge has been put together by this generative AI. If you and I type exactly the same thing in to that AI chat agent, we will get a different answer. We will not get the same answer. And part of that is sometimes the evolution of the conversation, but they all run on probability engines. So trying to work out what it is that it's going to say or what it's going to give you is actually constantly refreshing what it's going to do or not do. And the real power is doing giant bits of research, which is quite awkward to do. So if you turn around and ask it to I don't know, analyze 2 books and ask where possible plagiarism may have occurred between the 2 books, it'll do that, in an amazingly fast and efficient way. If you're busy trying to say, ask it the question, Toastmasters International has core values of integrity, respect, service, and excellence. Which other organizations have the same? And all of a sudden, here's your information. It's the smartest way to be able to get it. But do you trust it? Are you just going to quote it? Or are you actually going to try and validate it and verify it some other way? And that's the bit that is the scary part.
I read a review, I think at the start of this week, on 5 programs that are being used to check whether something was generated by AI or not. And it'll be interesting to see what the results are this time next year. But the 5 programs all had an amazingly accurate hit rate on how much percent of the responses were human generated versus AI generated. So the fact that there's a learning element to these, I just wonder if this time next year that score for those programs will still be as accurate.
And what if someone happens to be as efficient as the AI, and it makes it look like it's an AI generated response? You've lost it just because someone else has written something that you've said doesn't mean you've plagiarized it, because you could have come up with the same thinking and the same way of wanting to do something, or something very, very similar. You know, we have inventions that were made around the world at roughly the same time. How, you know, that didn't happen because they were plagiarizing. They just were on a similar trajectory, and that is what happened. We've got to be careful with that. I mean, I've played back into ChatGPT something which I've generated, and I said, was this generated by an AI? And it said no.
You might say it was cheating. Does anyone have any questions on this topic? Who's played around with any of these AI tools?
I played with it when Kevin Broughton was here, and this is like interesting, Graeme. I was having trouble, you know, doing my Google email address as an area director. Kevin was here and he showed me how to do that, which is great. And then he showed me ChatGPT, and we wrote something and it came back, and yeah, it was really good. That's the only time I've looked at it. And then I looked the other day on Yoodli, not the one from TI, but Yoodli, and they were showing me the price of using it. So I thought I'll leave that one alone, and I'll have another look at this one in a couple of days. But I think it's really good. I think it's anything that helps you think. And if you're a critical thinker, then you can deal with it. But if you just take it as it is, it's like the Wikipedia of words, isn't it, really, in a sense?
Yes.
But so, yeah. And you can pick it up. You can pick it up when someone has just used Yoodli as well.
I remember vividly as a 9-year-old being told off for having copied out of an encyclopedia for my homework. And I remember it vividly because it was about the origin of earthquakes, and it was around tectonic plates. And she said, "What does tectonic mean?" But it's all about that, you know. It is all about critical thinking, the ethical use, adapting and integrating what it is that's there. It's the evolution of tools. It's the evolution of information. We are in the information age, but there's so much of it. How on earth can you discern it, and who do you trust to discern it for you?
That's what one of the biggest things is, trust. Yeah,
but we can't be Luddites. I mean, change is the only constant we have, so we have to embrace change in a way, but use it carefully, I guess.
Yeah.
So Stefan's just made an interesting point. You can't get an AI agent to teach you how to make a bomb. Well, a lot of people did manage to trick it into doing that using the same scenarios you did. So how would I, if I were a terrorist, use the things that were, and it's that whole trying to create a hypothetical scenario that would trick it into doing that. But they've tried to build rules in. You know the Isaac Asimov laws of robotics. You know, you cannot harm humans and all the rest of it. Well, we've already let that genie out the bottle. We're already trying to put it back in again, and everybody's panicking. The governments are creating agencies to try and contain AI. Well, I'm sorry, you can't have it both ways. Skynet's on its way.
This is actually a typical response to technology, not just AI. Anything. I listened to a really fascinating podcast. I can't remember what it was, but it was talking about when cars were first a thing. Okay, they in the US, in some places or one place, they legislated that somebody would have to walk in front of the car waving a flag, right? A red flag, because that was dangerous and it was new and it might scare the horses and all of that kind of stuff. But it's a typical thing to try and legislate against a technology where we should try to live with it instead. It's, as you say, the genie's out of the bottle. There's no going back. Doesn't matter how many laws you make. We just have to live with it.
Might as well make some wishes.
Exactly.
They're trying to change. They're trying to do that in Wales, where Kevin and I are from, because they've just reduced the speed limit in many towns in Wales to 20 kilometres an hour through towns. And people are walking faster than the cars.
The big one I'd also add there, Graeme, is that it is specifically around manipulation of society. So the way governments and leadership models work is they control the flow of information. You suddenly turn around and have this agent that can assimilate and pass on information in those completely unfettered ways. Where does the control go? You know, just as capitalism works on the scarcity of things, and we put up the price of things up to the point where people can pay for it, and all of these different ways in which we manipulate society. You put an AI agent that doesn't have that greed factor or control factor, or morals or anything, and all it does is draw the logic between what it is that's going on. Governments are going to tumble unless they control it.
I just want to throw in an extra thing here, just a little bit of a curveball, not a curveball, but so we generated a speech, a bit of a table topic before about life before mobile phones. So I'm wondering if you can recognize this speaker.
Good morning, fellow jabber and disappointment. The topic I have been given is life before gibber phones. How many of you remember those days? I gibber do, and I have to say, life was quite different back then.
Now, first of all, do you recognize the voice?
Was it the guy smiling here on screen?
Yes. It's actually supposed to be my voice. The reason it said gibber, and it has gibber and jabber because it's an AI speech and I'm using a free version of it. But what I've done is I've trained my voice by reading something out, and now I can just give it some text and it will read it in my voice. Now, that's not a particularly good example because it's a free version. But I've heard ones, like one of my favorite podcasts is a movie podcast. And for the two presenters, one of the podcasts, they had them each give a speech where they were saying things that you clearly knew they did not believe, because I've listened to the podcast for so long. But it was quite believable, reasonably believable for their voices. So this is another thing. Hey, do we even need Toastmasters anymore? Do we need people to give speeches?
Which app is this? I mean, which? Out of curiosity.
There's plenty around. This one's called Descript. I'll share my screen for you so you can see.
Because when you played it, I got a feeling that it's your voice because the pace was similar to yours. Voice, yes, maybe let's say 50% or 80% almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was pretty good. I haven't used
So this is the thing here, Descript.com, and there's lots of things you can do with this, but this is just one of them. I thought that might be a fun thing to just to throw in there. I think
record myself and hear myself.
I think it sounds like me being forced to give a speech at gunpoint, but
you used a non-inclusive opening. Good morning, fellow Toastmasters and guests.
I did too. Oh dear. Well, it wasn't me, it was the AI.
That's right. But you know, this is what I like about these sessions. We're talking about things outside of what we may talk about inside our Toastmaster meetings. This is more a general chat about what's happening in the world, and I think it's great. Perhaps we can have sessions speaking to Janine and Graeme just for free talk from Toastmasters.
Sure.
In the education thing. Well, Kevin Broughton's looking well. Gee, I like his glasses.
I wish I could find them again.
Have a look in that cavity under the box where you keep your dog in your car.
Yeah. So generative actors and models have been created for quite a while. More specifically, because I'm a Star Wars nut, in, I think it was 2016. 2016, Peter Cushing had passed away, but they recreated him. And people that had never, that were unaware that he had passed away or were watching that for the first time, couldn't make him apart from the other actors. And I'd suggest people would possibly say something was going on, but and now we've got entire films being generated that way.
That's what that strike was about, wasn't it, in Hollywood?
Absolutely.
They've struck a deal now.
There was one interesting aspect to that. Was one of the things they were trying to legislate against was AI creating scripts, like first drafts of scripts. And, you know, is that a good thing, a bad thing? One thing it does do is it kind of cuts out a whole layer of the learning process. Because how do people get good at scripts in the first place, right? They have to write a bunch of bad scripts first. You have to start somewhere. And if you're cutting out a whole layer of that by creating a first draft with the AI stuff, then in some respects you're undercutting, I guess, the journeyman nature of the craft, something like that.
How many people would start in ignorance? Wouldn't you start with one that you admired? Here's a script that someone did, and that really worked. And I love the way the protagonist works within that and how the interactions work and how it concludes. If I were to turn that into a skeleton and then build my own over the top of it, is that not the same thing as getting a first draft?
Well, somebody did that, didn't they, when they wrote the book Storybrand? If you follow the Storybrand's 7 key things, you can write any story.
Yep, absolutely.
So it's just Sir Isaac Newton, isn't it? If I have seen father standing on the shoulders of giants, we're doing that all the time. But this has been good. I've really enjoyed this session. I didn't say anything on the last one, but this one I've said a bit, so I'll stop now.
So I use AI tools a lot at workplace as well, which I can't share here in this forum, but then the usual ones, ChatGPT, and then Gamma, and then, you know, all those, there are just so many out over there, and I use all of them for different purposes, of course, but sometimes I use it all together as well, because it all gives me different results, and then I use it as an encyclopedia almost. I refer to, let's say, 5 different versions, and then I go into a thought process and then create my own stuff. So that way it's like probably referring to different, let's say 5 different books, and then coming up with your own speech or your own whatever it is, you know, a write-up, you know. But I use it in that way. And that kind of saves a lot of time for me, because I literally don't have to go buy books and read through it. I have got the versions and I've got the idea. So
there's a whole genre of people that study genealogy that are injecting family trees into these AI agents and turning around and saying, write the story of so-and-so. And it looks at the place that they were born, the time that they were born, and it fills in the narrative. You know, at the time that Edward was born in 1643, the town was primarily made up of, and it fills all this stuff for you. And all of a sudden, genealogists have got, you know, 80% of their work done. It's incredible.
Can I just tell you about something very simple I've used ChatGPT for? Is to sort things out into, say, a written article into bullet points.
Yep.
And when I want to explain something to someone quickly and easily, I like bullet points. I like bullet points even to create speeches. So I've done that, and I've been amazed at how sometimes just I could think of them myself, but occasionally it will use a completely different expression, which I say, that's what I want. That's great. Now, the other thing I did I'm involved with, I shouldn't say too much about it, in an ethical question within my club. And so I asked it, is it legitimate for one member to question another member in a coffee setting to gain advantage through private information, what is the ethics? And anyway, I thought it came back with a very good answer because it went into the 4 elements of Toastmasters, you know, trust, respect, and answered each one. And so I thought, well, that's a good summary. It's better than I could write myself. I haven't used it, but that to me showed me that there is a bit of thinking capability beyond just grabbing information.
The bit I like about ChatGPT in what you've said there is you must have had partly a conversation around explaining that it was Toastmasters and that these are the values. What I love around ChatGPT in particular is that it will thread the information that you're supplying. So it becomes a conversation. And everything that you've given it will become part of how it informs its choice, including what you've put in the settings about you as an individual and told it about how your values are. Because that changes that adaptive probability when it's turning around and giving you the answer. So you are, by definition, influencing the answer by the way you ask the question, which is why now there are hundreds of courses all over the internet about how to ask the right question.
Yeah, are there any, I like mathematics and graphs, so are there any sort of graphical ideas that portray how it can twist information?
Sure.
Like a source sink sort of thing. I can't really express it. I probably should say nothing.
Put the question into ChatGPT, it'll tell you the answer.
Maybe it is. But what I've never done, and I've wondered, I've never tried to get any graphical information out.
Well, isn't that an awesome segue to Graeme for generative AI and images?
Yeah, maybe.
It is. And you know what I've been doing? I've been playing around with that. And we had the thing about life before mobile phones before. And I think that Copilot has some weird ideas about how long ago it was before mobile phones. So I've asked it to give me a picture of a Toastmaster before mobile phones. I don't think you need to go back this far. It's kind of weird. I've done this one before. Create a picture of a Toastmaster conquering the world. Yes, it seems to have a very old-timey view of for mobile phones. This guy
put a date in of 1980. Well, I had the first mobile phone in telecom, and it was a 6-volt battery with a handset on the top and a web strap. And I took that to Sydney, so that would have been 1980, maybe.
Okay.
Perhaps put a date in.
Oh man, I've asked it to give me a picture of a Toastmaster conquering the world, and it's given me a poem while I'm waiting.
It's generating some art at the moment.
Yep, it's doing that. Look at this.
Yeah.
It's disturbingly male. Like
really, that's American.
Yeah.
Well, at least it's sort of race inclusive, I guess.
I listened to that guy's speech when I was in KL. That last picture.
God, that looks like Jimmy Carr.
Yes, it does.
That is disturbing.
Yeah, that's another thing that I think globally everyone working on, probably struggling with, keeping it inclusive in terms of gender as well.
I agree.
I wonder if the database is so broad, why can't it find Toastmaster resources database, for instance, and throw pictures out of that? I was wondering when I was looking at that, is Toastmaster there a sufficient word to describe what we are? Maybe it's got to be a capital T, or I don't know, or refer to who founded it or something like that to get it on the right track.
Well, in Britain, of course, they wear red coats. We don't do that here. That's what Toastmasters.
Are they
wear
town,
red jackets.
but aren't they town criers?
No, Toastmasters in Britain do the MC weddings and all sorts of things, but that's what they're called because they make the toasts. So they wear red jackets mainly.
Okay.
The including the women Toastmasters.
The women Toastmasters in Britain do that.
That's not the branch in Britain of Toastmasters International.
No, it's not. I'm saying that.
Yeah, that's the original definition of
the
a
original.
Toastmaster.
Yeah.
Because a Toastmaster is an MC, a professional qualification. Yeah.
Okay, folks. Well, look, we're on red, so I think I'll wrap it up here. I mean, we could keep talking all night, really, but I think I'll wrap it up. Thank you so much for coming along. I was hoping to have a few more, but we've got a quality crowd here, and I think we've had a great discussion. So thanks all for coming along. Thank you so much for participating, because that's what makes it a great discussion. And thank you to Namrita for leading us around the Toastmasters website. Thank you for Kevin and David giving us some excellent talking points. And again, thank you, all of you, for coming along and participating. We've got resources from tonight's presentations, and we've also got a feedback form. So thanks very much. Have a great weekend. And if you're going to contests, good luck and judge well, or whatever it is that you're doing. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.